when it comes down to the true mobility and agility of a Shawn Porter, one of the best athletes in sports, period, not just boxing.
You mentioned that this fight's going to come down to will. Both of these guys are experienced fighters.
Yep.
They're veterans in the ring.
Right.
They've been on the big stage before.
Yep.
When it comes down to will, when the bullets start flying, are they resorting to what their standard of fighting has been, or are you still able to implement more changes and get them quicker, get them faster, get them stronger for a fight like this?
Absolutely, you can do all those things, but mainly it's just make sure you don't lose anything opposed to trying to gain new things. Both of these guys have great talent, so I'm pretty sure what they were doing on that side is just to maintain and make sure he doesn't lose anything when it comes to that night. But you can guarantee it will come a point, and I've heard this 1,000 times, I didn't create this, in every boxing event, a fight will break out. And you got to be ready to do that. And I can promise you, both those guys are ready for that moment when it happens. When the fight breaks out, I can promise you, no one's running away from the fight. They're going to stand right there toe-to-toe and swing, because that's how they're built.
Larry, you want the fight to break out.
Absolutely.
Later, don't you?
I'm glad somebody picked it out. Absolutely. I want the fight to break out. At some point, I want the fight to break out, just so the world can see on display what these guys have to bring to the table. You know, it's not just about my fighter and Shawn Porter. It's also being able to highlight the talent of both guys, because both these guys, in my opinion, are amazing guys and amazing fighters. So when the fight breaks out, I want you guys to see, like, oh, here we go. And when the hands stop, I just want to make sure my guy's still standing. That's it.
Do you feel like Terence, though, is going to try and make it a boxing match? Like
Absolutely.
He's been slugging lately. He hasn't been boxing, really.
Yeah.
But you think he's going to come and box?
I think so. I think that's what's in his best interest, to put it in a space that he feels may be challenging. You put it in a slugfest, then now everything's equal and balanced across the board. It's about who comes out of that without getting touched. So I think he's going to want to make it about boxing, but we all know Terence also, all it takes for him to get touched one time, and he switches that thing over to, like, we from the slug. And I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm excited for that.
You know, just with Shawn and Terence both being 34, and how much is either guy got more of their physical prime left to? Has either guy slipped?
Both guys do. And I say it that way because you got to think about, these guys are in a space where they don't abuse their bodies.
Right.
They don't drink. They don't smoke. They don't do a lot of wild things, partying. They're both kind of, no disrespect to either person, they're both homebodies. They stay with their families. So when you got guys who take care of themselves in that manner, then their athleticism will last a long time. But when you got guys who are smoking, drinking, partying, it starts to wear them down. I think these guys have taken great care, and I think you're going to see a great fight.
And lastly, Larry, just talking about the mentality of both guys. You see Shawn up there with his beautiful son, right? Terence, meanwhile, mean as hell, surly. Some people would argue that surly attitude is better to bring in the ring. But what are your thoughts on all that?
It depends on the person.
Right.
Listen, I learned something a long time ago when I was an athlete, and now that I'm a trainer. And the one thing that I learned was, every emotion that you have is relevant. Every emotion. You think about basketball players. What, they play 90 games in a season?
82.
82 games in a season?
Plus playoffs. So.
LeBron James does not get to be LeBron James, but LeBron James has everyday problems just like we do, right? He has bills like we have. I'm pretty sure him and his wife argue at some point. Him and the kids get into it at some point, whatever that go on. He has problems, but he still has to be a professional. So every day he goes into the court, every day he's not happy. Every day he's not sad. Every day he's not angry, but every day he's going to feel of emotion. He still has to step up to the plate and get it done. That's what true professionalism is. So that emotion is probably the emotion that he uses to feel like that's what he needs to do to get in the ring. Shawn's not that guy. Shawn doesn't have to be that person. Shawn could be very happy and go in the ring and beat you up.
Is that how he was for Spence?
He was very calm, and I was the one concerned, like, man, he's calm as hell. And then he went in there and fought the fight of his life, so it's really based on that person. He needs that emotion, and that's great, but here's the problem with that emotion. What if you don't feel that way that day? Now you can't use it. So you have to be able to rely and take in whatever emotion that you have going on at that moment and use that. You got to be LeBron James Monday through Sunday. So whatever you feel that day, doesn't matter, use that to get you into the game.
Whether it's a good mood or a bad mood.
Whether it's good or bad.
Go with the flow.
He told me to put the money up, man.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.